Hi guys, it's Ray. This cup is going to be a triple split with the skinny band in the middle. You've probably seen a lot of these, a lot of damask ones. The top's going to be a peekaboo on this one. It's going to be a peekaboo of roses with pink showing through, black on top. The bottom's going to be hopefully marble over the black. And the top is going to first get mostly pink glitter. I custom mixed this because I didn't have a pink that pulled all of the mica colors I'm using, so I threw a bunch of pinks in and mixed them together. I'm going to use a little bit of the cut glass chunky mix, and then I have pink, rose, peach blossom, and fuchsia, not necessarily in that order, micas, and a little bit more of that cut glass mixed. So I'm going to start by just glittering the top. So I'm going to slide a piece of paper under here. And I have to be careful because I have a cup next to this that is non-glitter, so I don't want to contaminate it if I can avoid it. And I'm going to use a stringer for this to hopefully control the glitter a little bit. Sifter stringer thingy. Because I don't want to put so much glitter on that I end up willy-nilly everywhere. And I actually had wanted to put some of this chunky first, but I don't plan to use a ton of the chunky anyways, so I think it'll be okay. And I'll just mix the chunky into whatever's left over of this mix. So wherever the chunky sticks, it sticks. It's fine. That's all of that I'm going to use anyways. I should have put my chunky on first. So that was my first mistake. I'm just going to kind of watch it as it spins and make sure I get good coverage. And I will pat any of the chunky down that's sticking up. See, I need more on the rim. And I do want to make sure I get decent coverage along my tape line. I'm going to put a skinny band along there, but I still don't want a huge gap. So I'm going to go around where I think the tape line ends. I didn't change my tape in between the paint and this first step. Wasn't really necessary. Whoops. So that's going to be it for that. Put the lid on this glitter over here. I'm going to try to carefully get this out of here. I did keep an empty jar to pour this in, so. Okay. So for the bottom, hopefully some of the color will show up on it. I'm just going to drizzle on in a diagonal kind of motion. And I do want to make sure I get the bottom covered some. And I'm going to use this glitter for the center stripe. But I think I'm going to use it over the bare stainless. I don't think I'm going to paint that section. I haven't really decided yet. So I'm just going to run a couple bands of color. And don't forget the bottom. And I'm not going to do these in any particular order. I'm not looking to completely cover the black. My goal was to pull micas that matched the glitter I made. So that should be plenty of coverage. I am just going to super quick hit it with a torch just to get bubbles and get the bottom swirling a little bit. And then I'm going to take the stick that was in the glitter because it doesn't have a lot of color. Kind of drag down to the edge. If you feel like you have too much, you can scrape some back off. So I'm going to torch again real quick. I actually do have a little bit of black mica mixed up right here. And I'm going to just drizzle a tiny bit of that back over if it'll still flow. And splash a little bit across the center of the bottom. Okay. So, well, that's it. And I'm just going to let this do its thing. I'm going to see if I can't pat that chunky down. Normally I would use a silicone brush, but it's such a little amount. I'm just going to use my gloved finger real quick. It's not really a lot sticking up. So this is going to spin overnight, and then in the morning I'm going to retape the center and put just a clear coat of epoxy top and bottom. And after that step has dried, I will come back in and show you the next step. But I am going to go ahead and remove the tape, which should be interesting since I take it the opposite of ideal. But I'm just going to go ahead and remove the tape now. And I'm not worried about the little bit of messy around the tape. Again, I'm going to do the center. I don't like where that lifted up my paint a little bit. But I'll tape the center off so when I do that layer of glitter, it's evened out. I'll clean up the edge a little bit. I'll just bring the glitter down a little bit further than I'd initially intended. So that's going to be it for this step. And that happened because I didn't pull the tape after I painted. It's because I left it for this step. I should have swapped the tape once already and I just didn't. So that is entirely on me. I'm going to grab that stick with the black mica and see if I can work that up just a little bit. Because I can see the tape line, so. I'm still going to have to create a new tape line, but it won't be as uneven if I can correct it a tiny bit now. I'm just going to take one of the darker colors of mica and go in that top a little bit as well. Alright, so I'm going to tape it back off. I'm going to get another coat of epoxy on the top and the bottom, and then I will be back for the next step. Okay, I'm back. I haven't done anything to this yet, other than I did decide to paint this strip pink. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to epoxy the bottom, then epoxy the top, then deal with the center. So I'm going to try and do this in a controlled way. I'm just going to try and get to the edge of this section. I'm going to do the bottom first because the top is going to move some of that pink glitter, I'm sure. So I don't want to cross-contaminate to the bottom. And I'm going to leave that last section so that'll hopefully stay in place. And it's okay if I get a little epoxy on that pink paint. It's not going to hurt it because I'm going to go back over that with the glitter in a minute here. Make sure you get the bottom and around the butt of the cup. So that should be a good coat for that. And this top is going to get a pretty good flood. I'm just trying to catch some of it, not dripping off. Okay. And I'm going to just work from the bottom up. So I hopefully don't contaminate too much. I'm trying not to contaminate what's in the cup, because if I need a little bit more of it for the white, I don't want it to be loaded with pink. Again, it's okay if I get a little bit, but I don't want a ton of the pink dropping down. And this will stick that pink. So when this layer is cured, not cured, but dried enough, I will come back in with one more flood coat across the entire thing, just to make sure that the top is smooth and ready for decals. One more. It's getting there. This section needs some more. Just going to watch it as it comes around and look for any spots that aren't filled. I think that's pretty good. I do have a couple of chunkies that are trying to poke out. I may, if they don't lay back down, I may clip a couple of them before the next coat. So I'm just going to run my finger along the edge here to smooth any down. I'm going to run it along the bottom lip too. Make sure that gets a good seal down to the cup. Okay, I'm going to quick change gloves. Now I'm going to put the white on using the wet method, not the epoxy method. Because if I try to sprinkle into this tight area right now, I will most likely get white more at the top and the bottom. It wouldn't be the end of the world because there already is in both spots, but what I did was I put the glitter in the cup and mixed it so it's pretty good and thick. And I'm just going to start by applying some down the center. And I'll spread it from there. I do have a silicone brush to use, but I may end up using my hand as well. And I'm hoping that this particular glitter will allow a little bit of the pink to pop, but be mostly that whitey iridescent color. So I do have more mixed, but I am just going to start by using the silicone brush and holding it on that line and letting it spread it somewhat evenly. I'm not really pushing hard, I'm just holding it down. I'm just going to start working it where it needs to go. I'm going to go in with my finger and just kind of run the edge. And again, these transition lines are going to get some kind of a line to hide them a little bit. So if they're not perfect, it's not the end of the world. And I'm probably going to cut those lines from vinyl, so I will have complete control over whatever size I decide I need to cover. Back in at the top edge. And again, I'm not as concerned with the top edge because there is some of this, there's some of this glitter on the top and the bottom, but I don't want any more at the bottom particularly. If a little bit goes on the top, it's not going to be a problem. I just want to make sure there's not any big pieces of paint. But again, I don't mind some of the pink showing through. That's kind of the goal. Just use my finger and let it turn. And pat some of it around. I thought about switching this to silver, but the silvers tend to pick up more of a blue than a pink, whereas this white picks up some pinks. It does pick up a little bit of blue and gold, but alright, so I think that is pretty good full coverage. Like I said, this harsh line is going to get covered. And by doing it this way, it also brings the height of all these sections back to even. So when I come in with that next flood coat, it should fill the cup evenly across. So, well, that's it for that step. I will get the flood coat on, hopefully tonight before I go to work. And then it can have a good cure time. And sometime tomorrow, hopefully, I will be able to get the decal work done for the top and go on to the next step. It should be warm enough tomorrow for me to do the spray paint part I need to do outside. So here's hoping. I'll be back. Okay, so I put another layer of epoxy on this so it's smooth, and I taped off the bottom part that I didn't want overspray on. I used removable vinyl to put my decals on, and I have to be careful because I can't let you see the name on this one. So it's all decaled all the way around the top, and I'm going to take it outside and spray it with black spray paint. So that is where I'm at with this one, and I will be back to remove the decals. Okay, I am back to pull the tape and pull some of the decals. I'm not going to pull all of the decals for you while you watch because it's a long process, and it's easier for me if I can have it right in front of me. It's hard enough for me to pull the tape. But I do want to get all of the tape off. And hopefully that's a pretty clean line and it's not too bad. So, you can see the decals fine under the spray paint. It's not going to be too bad. It's just there's a lot of little pieces to these decals, so it's going to take me a bit of time to get them all. And hopefully I don't have too much where I leaked under. I just want to get one or two of them done that you can see, and then I'll go off camera and finish up and be ready for the last step before resin. This is going to get 1 to 2 more coats of epoxy, and I did just chew that up a little bit, but it'll be fine. You can see where I scratched a little bit. That'll happen if you're not being super careful or if you rush it. I'm just using a regular Cricut hook tool for this. It seems to work best for me for this process, but you can use any of your favorite weeding tools. It's dark out as well, so there's absolutely no natural light coming in my window, which makes it a little bit harder. Also, I'm kind of working away from me. And I did just scrape up a piece there as well. But overall, that's not going to make a difference. So this is where my image kind of mirrored itself side to side. So I'm going to hop off here, and I'm going to finish weeding all of the roses. And I will be back to show you the very final step before the last coats of resin. Okay, it is all weeded. So I have that beautiful peekaboo. And the very last thing I'm going to do is just put a couple of bands here. And I just caught on vinyl. A black stripe and a pink stripe. And I'm just going to hand place these. And I think I'm going to leave a slight gap on the pink, I believe. Just so it's got that little sliver of the pink in between. I'm just going to hand place it. If it's not exactly straight, it is what it is. I cut it at 10.5 inches, so it was plenty to go around. So I'm going to do that one. I'm going to grab my second one. And I'm going to slightly alter where they start so the seams aren't in the same exact place. So those are my black lines. And then I have a pale pink line to go over top. I'm just going to do the same thing with that. Try and center it. And you can do this part with nail tape if you have it. I just don't have any nail tape, so I just cut thin vinyl strips. And I'll straighten that out in a second. And the last one. Going to grab a blade and trim this pink one a little bit. I'm going to lift this pink one back up a little bit. where I lifted it, I stretched it a little bit, so it's not quite lining up properly. So, that's it. A triple split cup with a kind of like a marbly thing at the bottom, a chunky glitter at the top, and a peekaboo glitter at the very, very top, or the middle. So this is going to go on the turner and get some resin tonight and possibly another coat tomorrow, and it'll be all done. Thank you for watching, and please give me a thumbs up, a like if you would, and also if you would please, please, please give me a subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you.